how do we get our body fat percentage lower? It can be sometimes a hard balance to kind of, drop some of the fat percentages while maintaining that muscular appearance. But don't worry, there are some things you can do, and I'm going to dive into those in this episode. So strap in, get ready for episode 169. Let's go.
The future of fitness.
How do you gain muscle?
Fitness is not complicated. It's simple when you break it down.
There's so much information out there.
No fads, no diets, just plain simple habits.
You're listening to the Bones to Bulk podcast.
Hey, welcome to today's episode. My name is Brian Parody, and I will be your host. And before we dive into today's topic, I got a sweet deal for you. Sweet deal, man. No, for real, though. If you text the word meal to 706-222-7551, you will get a week's worth of meal ideas and snack ideas and some recipes. That's right. It's all compiled in a PDF. Just text the word meal to 706-222-7551, and it will be delivered right to your phone. You'll click on the link, and it'll be a PDF, and you'll have it to do whatever you want with. So take advantage of this while it lasts. All right, with that being said, let's dive in. So lowering our body fat percentage can be challenging when we struggle to put on mass, when we struggle to maintain our size, and we also want to drop body fat percentage. How do we do that? How do we walk that tightrope that I sometimes feel like? Because sometimes it feels like we have to do one or the other. We either, can have the mass that we want and the size that we want, but we're going to have body fat percentage. Or other times we feel like, if we're going to cut and drop that body fat percentage, then we're going to lose some of the mass. And while yes, to an extent that is true. In other words, there's a certain point where you're not going to be able to get down to extreme low body fat percentages and still maintain just a ton of mass, because they do kind of counterbalance each other a little bit. But that's not to say you can't lower your body fat percentage and still maintain a lot of your mass, because you can. And so how do you really do that? For starters, a lot of it comes down to really fine tuning your diet. And I know that doesn't sound like fun, and you're like, why are you telling me this? I don't want to fine tune anything. You've got to really get into the details of your food. And while I don't recommend worrying too much about macros when you're starting off, if you're at this point where you're really trying to fine tune, then it's time to really start paying attention to your macros. And what you want to do is you want to increase your protein intake. You want to decrease your fat intake. The more you clean up your diet, the less fat your body is going to be able to store from the foods you consume. And so right off the bat, that's the number one way you're going to start having less body fat percentage, is cleaning up the diet. Just like if you're wanting to lose weight, cleaning up the diet's the first place to start. It's the same thing with losing, body fat percentage. And even if I'm not saying you're wanting to lose weight, but just lose some of that body fat percentage, got to clean up the diet. So we've got to start there. And small changes add up. Just for example, I gave up peanut butter at the beginning of this year, and I decided, you know what, I'm not going to do peanut butter anymore. I'm going to do PB powder only. And while that may not seem like a huge difference, let's say you're having 2 tablespoons of peanut butter a day. Sure, it's not a ton, and it's not going to kill anything or hurt anything or anything like that. But if you're really trying to tweak things, then you really have to pay attention to this. So 2 tablespoons of peanut butter have approximately 16 grams of fat. That's right. So every day I'm consuming 16 grams of fat. And that's if I'm keeping it to 2 tablespoons, which honestly, I do a little bit more than that. So, but for this demonstration, let's see, 16 grams of fat per day just from peanut butter. That's crazy. That's a lot of calories. Now, when you do the math, 2 tablespoons a day and I'm just taking the fat content from peanut butter. I'm not taking the overall macro. So just the grams of fat, the calories from that over a year, having 2 tablespoons of peanut butter a year, 51,264 calories just from fat from 2 tablespoons of peanut butter a day. So while on a day-to-day basis, it may not seem like a lot, that's a crap ton over the course of the year. That comes out to, when you divide it by 3,500, which, if we're tracking how much weight we're gaining or losing, that's, 3,500 calories comes to a pound. So that's 14.65 pounds per year from fat from 2 tablespoons of peanut butter a day. Insane, right? That's why I always tell people, we think that small changes can't make a difference. They can, believe me. Now, contrast that with the PB powder at 2 grams per 2 tablespoons. It comes out to a total of 6,570 calories a year. So just under 2 pounds. That's a 12.5 pound difference, more than 12.5 pound difference. So you can see how small things make huge differences, and you don't have to change dramatic things to lower your body fat percentage. It can be a very small thing. It's not I got to change everything all over again. No, start fine tweaking things. Start going for the small things, the little things, the things you don't think about necessarily, the things that you've done for so long that you don't think anything of it. Like, oh, well, 2 tablespoons of peanut butter a day, that's healthy. And again, I'm not saying you can't have peanut butter. Like, I ate peanut butter for years, but what I'm saying is if you are really trying to hone in on getting that body fat percentage down and you're at that level where, you don't have a lot to begin with, but you still want to lower it, you've got to start micro tuning what you put in your body. And this is just one example. Maybe you've been doing 2% milk, going down to non-fat milk. Again, these micro changes, they may not seem like a lot, but added up over the course of a year, it's a huge difference. Now, how do we change up our workout routine to coincide with this? How do we get our body fat percentage lower through workout? Well, it comes through steady state cardio. Now, steady state cardio is not like going for an all-out run. I'm not talking about just killing it on cardio, because I'm not a huge fan of that to begin with. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it by any means. Cardio is great, but just me personally, I don't like doing high intensity cardio. Walking is a great way to help with your overall body fat percentage. And it's a steady state cardio. Steady state just means that you're doing it at the same pace for the whole time. And getting out and walking for 15, 20 minutes a day, getting that 10,000, that 15,000 steps in a day, it's so beneficial when trying to drop body fat percentage. If you look at a lot of main trainers, people out there, you go and follow and see what everyday habits they have. Yeah, they have a lot of everyday habits that are similar, but one of them that stands out across the board is walking. Most of them really try to get in a lot of steps a day, and there's a reason for that. It helps obviously burn more calories, and it helps with your overall body's composition so that you are burning up that excess fat, because when you're doing a steady state cardio, you're not tapping into your carbohydrate reserves because it's low intensity, you're tapping into your fat reserves. So that's why it's so beneficial. So if you've not done some kind of low intensity cardio, maybe, and it doesn't have to be walking, maybe you just get on, a stationary bike and pedal for 20 minutes at just a very moderate rate. Or maybe you go for a swim in the pool. Nothing too crazy, just a leisurely swim back and forth for, 10, 15 laps, whatever you can do. So I hope this helps with just kind of figuring out how to lower that body fat percentage. It's not rocket science. You don't have to do something crazy. Again, focus on the micro things, because that is where it's at. That's where things will truly begin to change. That's where things will truly begin to slowly turn around for you. And you have to keep in mind that this is a slow process. When you start fine-tuning things, it takes longer. It's not going to be as quick as the initial weight loss or the initial muscle gain. It's going to take longer. Just be prepared for that and be in it for the long haul. All right, I hope you've gotten a lot out of this episode. If so, if you would, go to iTunes and leave us a review. It would mean the world to me. Leave your honest feedback, whether you like it, whether you hate it, whether you want to see different things. What it does is it helps boost our podcast ratings in the podcasting realm, and that way we can just get this word out to more people. So I would greatly appreciate that. If you have a minute, just go leave us a review. All right, so with that being said, remember, no matter what walls you're facing, what things you're coming up against, you can accomplish your goals. You've got this.